So as you guys might have seen previously, we did get the motorcycle started, and we did have a small issue with the cooling system. It was kind of bubbling over where the radiator cap is. My suspicion is probably a bad evaporator, so I ended up getting a new one, and that's what we're actually going to do today. We're going to replace that evaporator, and we're going to probably put some just, you know, odds and ends, bolts and stuff on there that I have lying around. We're going to start by taking the tank off and getting to that evaporator. So as you guys can tell, it does look corroded and kind of old and dried out in there. So it's probably gonna be what the issue is, hopefully. So I'm gonna go ahead and replace that with the new one. So as you guys saw, we did get that tank back on, we did change that thermostat, so now we're just going to start the motorcycle and see how it idles. Keep an eye on the temperature gauge and make sure that it doesn't go too high up, and hopefully that fixes the problem. Okay, so it is the next day here. Before I start, I just do want to apologize for the terrible quality in video right now. Victoria forgot to charge the battery of the other camera. But anyway, it is the next day. As you guys saw in the previous clip, we did replace that thermostat. And when we actually turned the motorcycle on, we noticed that it was running a little bit weird, and then when I put some throttle on it, it cut the engine off entirely. So what we were thinking is that it's actually going to need a carburetor clean. So that's what we're going to focus on right now, is doing the carburetor clean. We got a spray cleaner, so hopefully I don't have to take the entire carburetor apart. I will if I need to, but I'm trying to avoid it because that's just extra work. And then if we do have time, I did actually get a new instrument cluster for the motorcycle. The reason I did that is because the one we have is missing the attachment bolts on the back of it. So if we have time, we'll get to the instrument cluster, but our main focus is that carburetor right now. Alright, so as you guys saw, we did spray some carb cleaner in there, and it is actually running a lot better. So before we did the carb clean, even if you twisted the throttle even a little bit, it would just cut off immediately. Right now it's not doing that anymore, and it's running a lot more even. So I think the carb clean did it some good. Hopefully that's all it needed. We'll keep monitoring that. But now we're going to move on to the instrument cluster. We're going to change out, I don't know if we're changing the whole thing or if we're just changing out the back, which is where it's missing the bolt attachments. We'll figure that out. And also the clutch cable might need a little bit of adjustment. That's just something I'm going to have to research a little bit and see if it is something that it needs or not. But right now what we're going to focus on is the instrument cluster. So I did manage to find the plugs for the gauge cluster, or you know, the plugs that go into the main harness instead of having to hardwire everything directly. The only thing I noticed that was a little bit different is that for some reason on the plugs I found this green and gray wire. The gray wire leads into the green wire, and the green wire on this side leads into the gray wire. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna move this wire over here, and I'm gonna move the gray one over where the green one is currently, so that way they're going into the right colors. And hopefully that's how it's supposed to go, and it's not meant to be this way on purpose. Another thing that we did notice as we were, well, I already knew it before, but I decided I want to do something about it, is this throttle. It doesn't come back all the way when I let go, as you guys can see. And that's not the best thing. That's actually pretty dangerous in a motorcycle. When you let go of the throttle, it should snap back into place. So I did get some new throttle cables for it. So we did change those throttle cables on it. It does snap back quite a bit better now. Part of the problem was that just the cables weren't set properly in here, but it was also, you know, older cables, so we just ended up changing it anyway. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna do a coolant flush of the system. We're gonna empty out all the old coolant, and we're gonna put some new coolant in there. Starting with that, and yeah, now there's a smudge on the lens. Anyway, that's good.
I just cleaned the lens, you jerk.
So we actually got that coolant flushed. Everything seems to be okay. The level's holding steady on the reservoir, so that's good. But we noticed that it's still having some fluctuations in the RPMs and kind of shutting off. So we're gonna spray some more carb cleaner on it, see if that kind of fixes it. I'm still really trying to avoid taking the whole thing apart, to be honest. So I'm just gonna try this one a couple more times, see if it doesn't do anything. And I don't know. I'm not really sure what's going on with the carburetor at this point. I'm assuming it's the carburetor. I hope it's not something else. I guess this is kind of where we're gonna call it for today's video, just because, you know, we have this issue that we're kind of trying to figure out. We did get a lot done though. We got the throttle cables, we got that figured out. It's, you know, coming back and twisting back how it's supposed to. We did the radiator flush. The coolant level's holding okay, so that's good. It's, for the most part, it's starting right up and it's idling okay. It's just, you know, hunting for revs a lot. Other than that, you know, we got the gauge cluster figured out a little bit. We did get that new thermostat in, and the temperature gauge is actually reading temperature now, so that's good. I know we were kind of worried about that. That's gonna kind of be it for today's video. If you guys wanna leave your suggestions in the comments below, we always welcome suggestions as to maybe what's going on with the, you know, rev hunting and the stalling issues. So if you guys have any suggestions, leave it below. But otherwise, thanks for watching the video, and we'll see you guys next time.
Yeah. Alejandro, I'm recording.
There was a spider.
What?
Oh.